We're going to ride with it tonight, I'll tell you that much.
Brock Purdy was unbelievable. The 49ers defense shows out again, and a lot of the questions we had last week about what does this team look like in a full game with a defense that has a chance to prepare, and it turns out it looked even better. So we're going to get into all that. We'll talk about the Deebo Samuel injury. A report coming out right now from NFL Network from Tom Pelissero that the 49ers believe Deebo avoided a major injury, so that could be significant. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Seahawks losing and what that means for the 49ers. Got all of that coming up next. Kyle Madsen, Alan Stiles on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Television sales on Black Friday set new records as millions of Americans snapped up the hot deals. But a lot of people were out of town or too busy to take advantage of the special pricing. So, how about a redo? Right now, you've got a second chance to save big on many of the top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs. Where? At Video Only, where the smart shoppers go. So, don't miss out. Check out Video Only now, or
you'll be sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's official. Fast just got a whole lot faster. Xfinity has the fastest internet with up to 6 gig speed. Plus, Xfinity Mobile is the fastest mobile service with 5G and millions of Wi-Fi hotspots. You heard that right. Xfinity just increased internet speeds again. And Xfinity Mobile gives you can't catch me speeds. The fastest internet, the fastest mobile service, and major savings? Can't argue with the facts. Now through December 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet plus X-Fi Complete with unlimited data and Wi-Fi equipment included. It's just $50 a month for 2 full years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Plus, get $200 back. Go to Xfinity.com/faster. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
UCSF Sports Medicine Center is dedicated to treating every type of athlete, from kids to adults, amateurs to elite professionals. As one of the best orthopedic programs in the nation, UCSF has programs to optimize an athlete's performance and the latest advancements to treat the most complex sports injuries. With locations throughout the Bay Area, now including Marin, Walnut Creek, and Redwood Shores, it's even easier to make an appointment today. Visit ucsfhealth.org so you can get cleared to play. UCSF Health, redefining possible.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
Universal Studios Hollywood is where the holidays come together. We've tested it. Festive food with refreshing Coca-Cola. Family, friends, and fa-la-la. Dazzling lights cranked up to maximum merriment. The Grinch and his dog Max stealing your tree. All the science adds up. It's the awesomest celebration of the season. Save $20 on a Coca-Cola 2-day general admission ticket. Offer ends 12/14/22. Restrictions apply. Details at universalstudioshollywood.com/Coke offer.
This is your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort. To rock and to roll. Over the hills and bluffs. Go all out or go all in. With 4 stars and rising stars, now we do more than ever, so you can do as much or as little as you want. It's your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort.
Kirby is your driveway mechanic. They bring the shop to you with brake replacements, oil changes, washes, and so much more. Get $50 off your first oil change with code OIL50 at Kirby.com. That's CURBEE.com and use code OIL50.
Hey, it's the Butcher Joe Shasky, and everybody's got their go-to meal at their favorite restaurant. So it's time for another episode of The Go-To, presented by Trimark. Next up, Rome Artisan Burger. Come into the kitchen with me and watch me stuff my face in the latest episode. The burgers are delicious. Check it out at 957thegame.com. The Go-To, presented by Trimark, partnering with independent restaurateurs in Northern California for over 55 years. The Go-To for food service equipment, supplies, and design.
He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
Splish Splash. Coach, are you taking a bath? Did you hear a little water in the background?
Yeah! He's a 9-time NBA champion.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
And he's on with Damon and Ratto every single week during the NBA season.
Wow.
It's Warriors head coach Steve Kerr on 95.7 The Game. Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet only from Xfinity.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, it still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or just go to eBay Motors and get it right the first time. With over 122 million parts, they have the parts that fit your vehicle. Air filters, tires, headlights, brakes, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
From the creators of Kentucky Fried Chicken comes the Taste Good Holiday Event of the Year, KFC's $5 Famous Bowl, starring crispy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, and everyone's favorite, melty cheese.
I'm in love with you, Famous Bowl.
Treat yourself to the bowl critics are calling a whole lot of food that even a Scrooge couldn't resist.
A humbug, that's tasty.
Gift yourself a KFC Famous Bowl for just $5. Now on the app and at a Kentucky Fried Chicken near you. For a limited time, prices and participation may vary.
New Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave on there. And around there. And even under there. Don't treat your groin like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at Walmart.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
We are back. Overtime. Alan Stiles, Kyle Madsen.
Yeah, we sure are.
And the Niners, well, they were never gone, but if they were, they're back for the first time. Shout out Ludacris.
Yeah.
And what they did, Kyle, we know what the defense brought to the table, what they've been bringing to the table. We thought we knew what Brock Purdy might be based on what we saw from the Dolphins, but small sample size. That dude can spin it a little bit. He can spin it a little bit. And right at the beginning of the game, he did not waste time.
Yeah, the question was, can the 49ers look like the 49ers with a 7th-round pick rookie quarterback under center?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to go week by week because there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be ebbs and flows. You even saw it in this game on Sunday.
Right.
Where there were a couple plays where it's like, okay, got away with one there.
Mm-hmm.
He threw a bad interception on a play where the Bucs dropped a defensive lineman into the middle of the field and you just didn't see him.
Yeah. Are we going Jimmy Brock no throw?
No, I'm not. I don't think it has to go there, but today was excellent.
Right.
Today was better than I certainly thought it would be, and better than I thought the ceiling was, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
What today did is not make me think, okay, well, the 49ers are now the best team in the NFC. I'm not going there, but their ceiling of what they can be with Brock Purdy under center is higher now to me than it was this time yesterday.
And again, right, a Bucs defense that, they were missing some guys, but still a solid defense to have. And the things that he did, Kyle, going into this week, and everybody was saying, all right, well, Jimmy Garoppolo does X, Y, and Z. Can he do these things? But we also knew that there are certain plays that he was going to have to make off schedule. And how would he be doing those things? When he was left out hanging to dry and he was about to get sacked and he goes with the whoop and he jumps back and then hits Deebo, those are the plays that we weren't sure he was going to be able to make. And he did it, I wouldn't say with ease, but he made the game look easy. And I'm not trying to go there. I'm not trying to start anything, but there is something to be said about making the game look easy. There is another quarterback on this roster that's also injured that when he was playing, it didn't look as easy.
Sure.
That's just what it is. And it's not a comparison type thing. But if anybody wants to say, well, Brock does this or Trey does that, I would say that Brock Purdy made the game look extremely easy.
I don't give a damn about what other quarterbacks can do and can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much focus on what does next year look like? What are they? I don't care. Like, they have games to win. With this victory today and Seattle's loss, the 49ers can clinch their division on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
I could give a rip who starts week 1 next year.
Right.
I don't even know if I'm going to be alive week 1 next year. Shout out to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, Brock Purdy today, the most encouraging thing for me, and 888-957-9570, what'd you think of Brock Purdy? What'd you think of this Niners performance against a, frankly, not very good Tampa Bay offense? But 49ers defense allows 7 points again. Brock Purdy lights it up. The Niners go 4 for 9 on third down. They were 2 for 3 in the red zone. The biggest deal for me, Purdy made some plays moving outside the pocket. You mentioned the play where there was a defensive end. I mean, it was him and the defensive end on the bootleg.
Right.
And he made a miss and made a nice throw to Deebo. All that was great, but he looked improved. I was anticipating he comes in, 3/4 of football against a team that didn't get to game plan for him and just was going to sling it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's this pressure of, he's the starter. And, the Buccaneers are now preparing for him.
Right.
They're going to throw things at him he wasn't ready for. And I thought there was going to be a notable downturn in his play this week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very much the opposite.
Right. Well, we knew they were going to bring the house. We knew Todd Bowles and that defense. What do you do with a young quarterback? We're going to blitz you. Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing is, Kyle Shanahan knew that. But even if Kyle Shanahan knew that, even if Kyle Shanahan planned on putting Brock Purdy in the right positions, which he did, Brock Purdy still had to execute. And that's what he did. And after the first couple tries where the Bucks were sending the house and Brock was getting out of it, then they just sat there and they thought, well, what are we supposed to do now? Mm-hmm. If we can't blitz this guy and he's able to get the ball out and do things that we didn't expect him to be able to do, and you still have Deebo, you still have Christian McCaffrey, and our offense is stuck in the mud, you knew very quickly that this was going to be a long day for Tom Brady, who, by the way, doesn't typically ask for tickets for games. He did it for this one. It was such a big deal for him. He was taking pictures, just being there. This is not the type of memory that Tom Brady wanted to have. But Brock Purdy made sure he was not going to enjoy his time in San Francisco / Santa Clara.
Yeah, 35-7. The game has now gone final. And Brock Purdy, final stats, 16 of 21, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ask for more than that from him.
Right.
And I think there's all the stuff that we were just talking about, the stuff that almost not even that doesn't show up in the box score, but evading pressure, throwing the ball away while under pressure.
Right.
On 3rd and 5, knowing that, hey, you've got one-on-one with Christian McCaffrey, put it up, let him go make a play.
Mm-hmm.
I think you saw some of the deficiencies with his arm strength. There were some throws to the outside that lollipopped a little bit. The throw to Ayuk where Ayuk got wide open, he had time to wait for the throw to get there.
He settled it and caught it with his body.
Right, but that's Purdy knowing that, hey, I can get this ball there.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to get it there, and he's going to get it in the end zone.
Right.
And so there were definitely encouraging signs from this offense top to bottom. The Niners ran it 36 times for 209 yards as well against a good Tampa Bay defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't use this phrase often. I was blown away. I was blown away by what Brock Purdy did today because I frankly thought this was going to be an ugly game. I was talking about it with Jake, our technical producer, before the game started. It was going to be ugly. Thought it was going to be low scoring. And the total was 37.5 in Vegas. The Niners almost got there by themselves.
Yeah, I thought for a second, they did take their foot off the gas a little bit once we knew that this game was kind of out of it. They probably shut out the Bucks if they didn't, but I think they easily could have. That ball that was caught was barely caught, so maybe they wouldn't have went for the field goal. So they were very close to shutting out these Bucks again. And offensively, if the Bucks had made it competitive, Brock might have been out there putting up a 50-burger.
Yeah.
He could have put up a 50-burger if they needed to. That's how comfortable he felt. I think the moment just never looked too big for him. And to your point, it's just as much about that as it is about the actual game and the actual execution. How does it look? Does it look like you belong? And he looked like he belonged.
Yeah. He never looked overwhelmed.
Mm-mm.
I think that's a good point. The 49ers had 2 drives all day that ended in their territory.
Man.
2. Even they fumbled at Tampa Bay's 43. They punted from Tampa Bay's 39, which is insane. They turned it over on downs from Tampa Bay's 34, and then the game ended on Tampa Bay's 19. Like that's wild.
Dominated. And you know what?
That's what it was. It was dominance.
You know what? I do love, and we're going to get to the defense because the defense, like we said, their greatness, I don't want to ever take it for granted, but it feels like sometimes I might be personally, just because you expect it at this point. I'm sitting here talking about a shutout. Only the Raiders get shut out. Sorry. That was a stray that the Raiders didn't deserve, but they did get shut out. DeMeco Ryans on the bench when he's celebrating and when he's having a good time. I just love the energy. And lucky enough, it seems that Deebo may have avoided a serious injury because that really took the air out of the building. But before that, I mean, you talk about immaculate vibes. Everybody was just enjoying Brock Purdy. You got DeMeco Ryans on the sidelines going crazy. Everybody is just doing their part, and it feels like a team effort in these wins and how they've been playing right now. And I just personally love seeing DeMeco get down on the sidelines because the game is supposed to be fun.
You mentioned vibes. Mm-hmm. I'm a big vibes guy. I'm a big believer in the power of good vibes. And I think, let's talk about the Samuel injury for a minute, because the last we heard was so he left the game after getting kind of bent. It was his ankle and his knee got kind of bent, and he went down grabbing his knee. It looked
bad. All of it looked bad.
Right. It looked really bad. And he immediately grabs the knee. He gets carted off, and he's ruled as questionable with a knee injury. Mm-hmm. Then later ruled out with an ankle injury, but now NFL Media's Tom Pelissero is reporting that the 49ers believe he avoided a major ankle injury. They're now classifying it as an ankle. So as soon as we have any update on that, we will bring that to you. We have nothing as of now. But if that's the case, there's not a bigger win for the 49ers than Samuel avoiding a major injury there.
Right.
He'll probably be out Thursday. I can't imagine a scenario where after that he's good to go by Thursday.
He's got that dog in him, but even for Deebo, that's asking a lot.
That dog's got to sleep a little bit.
The dog's got to sleep a little bit.
So he's probably out Thursday, but if they can have him back by the postseason, that would be massive.
Yeah.
And I think it helps take away some of the shadow that injury casts on a day that was otherwise, I think, pretty flawless for the 49ers.
Right. At the beginning, the sun was shining, Deebo goes down, it starts raining. So the feeling of everything went down for a bit, even though the Niners were still rolling. And I think and I assume everybody there was also on their phones looking for updates. And once people saw that it doesn't seem to be major or catastrophic and that it feels like there's a good chance that Deebo will come back, I think that definitely helped put a little pep in everybody's step as they were leaving the stadium or watching on television.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but what we're not gonna do today is throw around blame for a football player getting hurt in a football game. It was 21-0 when Deebo Samuel took a handoff. Mm-hmm. Part of what makes Deebo Samuel a spectacular player is the fact that he can run it.
Right.
And we don't know what happened in practice this week that led Jordan Mason to not be on the field. Maybe he fumbled 10 times in practice this week.
It's a good point.
And they went, hey, no dice. Okay? So Deebo Samuel, it's 21-0 against Tom Brady and a top 10 defense. Mm-hmm. You're not taking your foot off the gas halfway through the second quarter. That's not how this works. That's not how this goes, man. So they're running plays because they want to try and score. They're trying to get yards and score. It's 21-0. Are they in the driver's seat? Yes. Are they in a good spot? Yes. But if you start taking your foot off the gas and the Buccaneers get a touchdown, and then a turnover from your rookie quarterback making his first start, and then another touchdown. Now it's a 7-point game, and it's not even halftime. And we're sitting here wondering, why did he take his foot off the gas? That's a big criticism of Kyle Shanahan.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. You can't play it both ways. People get mad when Kyle Shanahan sits on leads, right? Mm-hmm. And even before his time in San Francisco, he's lost games from trying to sit on leads. So that is something that he's working through. So you can't be mad about that, but then also be mad if one of your star players gets hurt and say, 21-0. I know Tom Brady and this Bucs team doesn't look great. It really doesn't even matter who you're playing. 21-0 to me in the second quarter is you can't call off the dogs at 21-0. No. And if your argument is, well, why is it Deebo running up the middle? Because it was working. Right. And to me, last year I had a different take on this when, Deebo was doing all the running and people had questions as well before his contract. Now that he's got that bag, now that he's got that guap, they included it as part of his deal, right? He has those incentives. So we all knew this was going to happen. So that's why I don't really know what the argument actually is. To me, second quarter, 3 scores, you can't have this conversation. No. If you want to have this conversation up 35-0 in the fourth, I will gladly be on your side and we can ride out into the sunset and complain about Kyle Shanahan. But the second quarter against the Bucs and Tom Brady, 3 scores, come on.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And Jerry Rice put on Instagram, Kyle Shanahan criticizing Kyle Shanahan for Trey Lance getting hurt and for Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt, which is weird. I don't get that either. That was just a free rusher and Jimmy tried to get away. And then Deebo Samuel, but if you have an issue with Deebo Samuel running in this spot, then you should have an issue with Deebo running all the time.
Exactly.
Where were you last year? Where were you on the first down play from the 13 that Deebo took in for a touchdown? You should be can't run Deebo. Like, don't do that. But that's part of what makes him special. That's part of why he's great. That's part of why he's the most unique offensive weapon in the league. Mm-hmm. Because you can do that with him. And that play can go for a touchdown. This time it didn't. He got his ankle rolled up on. Stuff happens.
That's it.
It sucks. It sucks. But we're not going to sit here and lay blame on the coach on a day where he guided a rookie quarter, 7th round pick under center to a 35-7 win.
Now, I guess a question could be, do you view this any differently than what happened with Trey Lance? Me personally, I do. I didn't necessarily... I thought there was a lot of conversations that maybe weren't had, or there was a lot of confusion about what Trey Lance was supposed to be. And then when we saw him running so much, we didn't know if that was always the plan. We didn't know if it's because his arm accuracy-wise wasn't where it needed to be. We didn't know, right? With Deebo, we know this is it. Mm-hmm. We know Kyle Shanahan trusts certain guys. Only Deebo, Kittle, and McCaffrey had touches for the first 4 drives of the game or something like that. So we know this is how Kyle Shanahan rolls. And if you're going to enjoy the touchdown early on, then at the same time, you can't complain about this as well. To me, it's football. It's the second quarter. You want to call off the dogs in the second, and then those same people, if somebody gets in, if Jordan Mason gets in and fumbles, because we got 2 youngsters in the backfield, right? The rookie QB. If Jordan Mason fumbles, right? Now it's 21-7. You get some momentum going for the Bucs. Next thing you know, that lead is gone. What's everybody going to say? What's Kyle Shanahan doing, taking his foot off the gas in the second quarter? And
right.
And you know I'm hard on Kyle Shanahan. Mm-hmm. But as the kids say, this ain't it. This ain't it to me.
I will never blame. I don't want to say never. I will very, very rarely blame a coach for a football player getting hurt in a football game. That's it. That's where I'm at. That's where I was at with Trey Lance. That's where I'm at with Deebo Samuel. And that's all the energy I'm putting toward that. We will get an update. The next time we talk about this, it'll be the update from Kyle Shanahan on whatever we are hearing from the 49ers training staff and what he's hearing from or what we're hearing from Kyle Shanahan and what Kyle Shanahan is hearing from the 49ers training staff. But we mentioned Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. Christian McCaffrey, excellent today. 14 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown. He also caught 2 passes for 34 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Brandon Ayuk, 2 for 57 and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 8 touches for 64 yards and This was a game where Brock Purdy did what Brock Purdy needed to do in terms of just getting the ball to the playmakers. Mm-hmm. Early on, especially, so he gets walloped on the first play of the game. Doesn't see the blitzer coming off the edge. And it was like, uh-oh.
That was the most
first play, and
classic.
he just doesn't see the blitzer. So
he got whacked.
He got smoked. I don't want to say I'm not surprised it was a penalty. I'm sad that that's a penalty. That looked like a clean. He hit the guy and their helmets happened.
Well, that's a question we always ask.
Right. That's a penalty 10 times out of 10.
There's such a small area. You can't go low, you can't go high. So where are you supposed to go? I think a lot of it does just turn into looks, right? That just the refs that looks dirty.
And their helmets hit. You can't do that.
Right.
Like that's a penalty every time. So after that, it was a lot of George Kittle. He had 5 targets. I bet 4 of them came on the first 2 drives. And that's good. That's what I wanted to see from Purdy.
You know, the reason that call is a big deal, though, is because if they don't get that call, that momentum, they don't get those 15 yards, they get
second and long.
It's second and long. They don't get, they might not be rolling. Everything was on schedule for Brock Purdy today. And that is not any type of slight at all. But it was. And everything was on schedule for Brock Purdy last week as well. One of these days, it's not going to be. But we saw, if you want to make the argument, they were at about the 2-yard line when he ran it in. That was off schedule, right? Another play. He's got. I'm not going to say he's got burners, but he's got some. He can run a little bit. Yeah. It got called back for a hold, but he broke off 10, 11 yards there.
Yeah.
That was off schedule. So we're seeing him do some things off schedule, but for the most part, he's making the plays that he needs to. He's making all the on schedule stuff.
Yeah.
When he goes up against, and this Bucs defense isn't bad at all. They're pretty good. They've been missing some guys, but pretty good. Seattle's going to be a tough one. There are going to be situations where unless you just go out and dominate again, something's going to be off schedule, and we have to see what Brock does. But think about this, Kyle. He comes out that first drive, he gets walloped. What happens a couple plays later when there was another guy ready to pounce on him? That's when he hit you with the whoop. And he got on out of there, and he got it to Deebo. So he's learning as the game goes. And again, guys that make you feel like you could play in a game or you could do something, that's when you know that they look comfortable, right? Like Steph Curry makes all of us feel like, I think I can make some threes. I mean, he makes it look so easy.
Sure.
Brock Purdy had me feeling like, man, I mean, I gave it a spin.
Sling it.
I can spin it a little bit.
You're a lefty though, right?
I'm a lefty though.
Okay.
So he just made the game look easy. And that's what he needed to do.
I could see you being like an Emmanuel Acho type.
Just stop with that. You said you were going to say that, and you followed through with it. Now you got it out your system.
I did. I just need to do that once. I love a good inside joke.
You love
already.
that.
Yeah. Anyways, it's overtime. Kyle Madsen, Alan Stiles talking about the 49ers 35-7 victory over the Bucs at Levi's Stadium. And there's a couple things that jump out as you start to look kind of through the stats and start to wrap your arms around exactly what happened. The 49ers margin for error, that was one of the things with Brock Purdy, right? The margin for error shrunk.
Right.
It was already pretty small with Jimmy Garoppolo. But now it's shrunk even smaller. And how did the 49ers respond? 1 turnover. It was the fumble that Deebo Samuel had on the play. He got hurt. That was their lone turnover. They committed 2 penalties for 15 yards. That's massive. You're just not giving up free yards.
It's clean football.
They had 3 takeaways. 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. So and this is the second week in a row the 49ers have faced a quarterback that threw only 3 interceptions all year and then threw 2 in a game against them.
Right.
They were very, very good top to bottom all day. And this is where things get tough. And I don't want to do too much projecting. But as we sit here and I talk about it being week to week and how that's how I'm going to take this. Because the 49ers played a virtually perfect game on Sunday. And if they play a perfect game every single week, yes, they can win the Super Bowl with this guy. Like 100%. They're that talented. But on the other hand, they're not going to play a perfect game every week.
Right.
There's going to be games where they turn it over 2 or 3 times. There's going to be games where they don't. But one of the things, and you were talking about on schedule. And I think that you made great points there. And I think there's another version of being on schedule. And that's not necessarily on a play-to-play basis. That's down in distance. And they were winning on first down today. They were getting second and short, third and short, and making those. They had 24 first downs, but only 9 third downs. They were getting first downs without getting to third down, which is huge. Like that's right. That makes offense so much easier.
And that's what you're saying.
Yes.
We don't know when, but that's not going to be the case at some point. And what does Brock Purdy do whenever that happens?
And we don't know.
We don't know.
But there's just, it's not like every question got answered today. But on the other hand, I feel much better about Brock Purdy now than I did before kickoff. I went into today thinking, okay, chalk him up for at least 1 pick. chalk him up for a couple of sacks. Like there's gonna just be some. There were that first play where he got whacked without seeing the blitzer, and then there were a couple of throws that he missed. There was a screen to George Kittle that he just overthrew him, and I mean, but that's so nitpicky for what I was envisioning,
and I don't even remember them. Yeah, I don't even remember them. I gotta. They don't stick out because there weren't any. Oh my gosh, Tom Brady was missing the throws. Yeah. Not young Brock.
Tom Brady looked old today.
He looked when he tried to go downfield towards the end of the game. God bless you. I mean, he was really putting everything he had into those throws.
Yeah,
and that's what everybody's saying now. Oh, Tom to the Niners next year. We're hearing that too. Do you want him? I don't want to go too crazy here.
No,
but
we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No. I know. But he did happen to be here. He didn't look great. Brock did, and what I like about Brock Purdy and what I like about what this offense is doing right now is that one answer that we did gather is that, and I don't want to be disrespectful here, Jimmy Garoppolo was also really good when things were on schedule, right? We didn't know when things got off schedule. That's when sometimes Jimmy could get a little squirrely and no throw comes. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey has helped that a lot. So in talking about what Brock Purdy can do, if we're looking at it like a checklist, what did we find out? Well, we found out that Brock Purdy is not scared of the moment. That's number one. We found out that he can make the throws that he needs to on schedule. That's number two. And number three, we found out that in certain spots, he can do more than that. You know, he can juke out a defender when all hope looks lost. He can, see the field fully and go through his progression. Now, he didn't have to do that a lot today, but we saw a couple flashes of it, and we saw that maybe the running aspect, he's not completely lost if he has to get those legs chug-a-lugging as well. So what we still have to cross off the list would be, okay, things are tight right now, and things aren't going the way that they have been. How do you react? This is what I want to make sure people understand, because the Bucs, sure, they're not very good. But if you look around the NFL, parity-wise, this has been one of the craziest years ever. The Cowboys at full strength at home almost went down to the Texans that were going back and forth between a backup QB and their starter QB, who their starting QB would probably be a backup QB on most other teams.
That was an adventure.
The Lions were favored against the Vikings, who are probably fraudulent. The Lions were favored, and the Lions won. So I'm not going to take. I know the defense is rolling. I know this team is carried by the defense, but I am not for a second going to take anything away from Brock Purdy just because the Bucs are having a down year, because this whole season has been topsy-turvy for everyone. Look at the Seahawks today as well.
Yeah, Seahawks losing at home to Carolina. That sets up a big game Thursday night at Lumen Field, I believe it's called now. Hey, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the Odyssey app and streaming on youtube.com/957 The Game and twitch.tv/957 The Game. If you are watching on Twitch and YouTube, shout out to you. We appreciate you. Couple questions here on the Xfinity mobile text line. And 888-957-9570. Go ahead and jump on the phone. Join the conversation. How you feeling about Brock Purdy now? How you feeling about the 49ers now after a big win? Deebo Samuel's injury. A couple of questions here on the Xfinity mobile text line. The 408 wants us to give some love to Dre Greenlaw. Sure. 15 tackles, an interception. And an interception that showed that's a throw that Tom Brady has made his entire career, where a receiver sits down on his own in front of the defensive back and behind the linebacker. But Greenlaw's just a different athlete and just got up and tipped the ball to himself and made a play.
Well, Tom.
Unbelievable.
I think Tom was yelling at everybody because that's what he does. He didn't even yell on that because he didn't know what happened. By the way, so basically what happens is Kyle and I will be watching the game. Whoever is here cutting sound, they're in the back cutting sound. So when our guy when Cam's in the back cutting sound, he's watching the game as well. And whenever Dre Greenlaw does something, either Kyle and myself or Evan Giddings will yell, "Cam, it's your boy," and we'll hear from Cam, "Big play, Dre." So shout out to you, 408. Big play, Dre.
Yeah.
He got it done.
15 freaking tackles today. That's wild. Jimmy Ward, 8 tackles, a quarterback hit, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble. I mean, really, really good day for the 49ers defense against an offense that, frankly, they should have dominated. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't scored more than 22 points since week 4.
Something weird's going on there, but that's not.
Yeah,
that's
their
not
offensive line stinks, and they have a 46-year-old quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
You hate to see it, or maybe
it's really
you don't.
tough. Yeah,
maybe
Tom Brady, he's had a tough life. He's had a tough go of it in the NFL. Who would win in this? This is from the 510. Who would win in this matchup? A perfect 49ers defense or a perfect Kansas City offense? Couldn't tell you.
I mean, don't we have to say Kansas City because of what we saw?
I mean, for what we saw this year, what we saw in the Super Bowl, like, eventually the offense makes a play. The bigger deal to me is if the 49ers would be able to score on Kansas City. That would be the bigger deal.
Patrick Mahomes today with some weird type of sideways throw. He's an alien.
He's weird, dude.
So
he's an unbelievable football player.
It's hard. It's hard to pick against the Chiefs right now.
And then the 510 brings up something interesting. Asked about Brock Purdy, how he played so many more football games than Trey Lance, yet fell to the last pick of the draft, while Trey Lance went third overall. Lance went third because of the ceiling and the traits, the physical tools.
Drafts are about ceilings.
Right. And Shanahan said, I actually have a whole theory on this. So Shanahan said about Lance, it was a lot of projection because we didn't have a lot of college tape. So it's projecting and seeing if you can develop these tools into a great player. And maybe they will, I don't know. But the reason a guy like Brock Purdy falls is a flaw in the draft process. It's the same reason like George Kittle fell. It's the same reason a guy like Fred Warner falls to the third round. Now, Fred was a third round pick. It's not like he fell to the end of the draft. But with guys like Brock Purdy, I think draft analysts look and they see a 4-year starter who didn't get any better in his 4 years as a starter. He was just the same guy. He's 6'1", he's undersized. And they just went, yeah, that's who he is.
And I don't know if he's 6'1".
It's a generous 6'1".
Media guide 6'1".
Generous 6'1". And so they see this guy and they go, well, that's just what he is. That's a backup quarterback. He's never going to be a viable starter. We're not going to win a Super Bowl with that guy. So he's off the board. And maybe that's what he is. Again, I'm going week by week here. But maybe there's a wall he hits eventually. But that's kind of what happened is they look at ceilings and they go, well, Brock Purdy hit his ceiling and it was not a great quarterback for Iowa State.
He did have a little bit of buzz while at Iowa State, but to your point, then that following season when these analysts are looking for him to take that step, he didn't seem to take that step.
Yeah, his senior year.
So, and they sat there and just said, all right, I mean, sure, can you probably play in the NFL? Yes, but again, drafts are about ceilings. They're about taking big swings. I can't lie, though. What you just said in terms of the projections with Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan just being so open about it just seems so funny to me. You know what I mean? It just seems so funny to me because we actually don't know how good we don't know very much about him, but we're going to find out. With Brock Purdy, you knew, right? It didn't necessarily excite you the same way, but you knew. But I'll tell you this, Kyle. You go to the NFL draft, the combine. They measure how fast you run, how high you jump, how strong you are, how strong your arm is. That checkbox, Kyle, it needs one more. One that just says, that dog. And you just check it off or not. Because Brock Purdy would definitely get that check. Might not get the other ones, but he's going to get that check for that dog.
It's honestly why I think that the 49ers are so good drafting in the 5th round. Because I think in the first few rounds, and a lot of teams do this, but you're drafting for ceiling. Can this player be great? This player be an all-pro? And then as you get later in the draft, so you're foregoing he's not a great route runner, but he's fast as hell and he can jump super high. Let's see if we can coach him up. By the time you get to the middle rounds, you're looking at okay, this guy's a great football player. There's nothing spectacular about him.
Right.
And I think that's why the Niners hit on Dre Greenlaw and George Kittle and Diamador Lenore so far and Talanoa Hufanga. All these guys that the measurables weren't great, but it's hey, these guys are just awesome football players.
At the beginning.
Get them in the building.
At the beginning of drafts, for the most part, not for everybody, but if you were
you've got to be kidding me.
What's up?
Brock Purdy has an oblique injury. He came out of the game because of the score, not the injury, but Shanahan said they will have to see how he feels tomorrow before determining his potential availability on Thursday night. So that's where that's at.
How?
So we could be looking at Josh Johnson starting quarterback Thursday night against Seattle.
He looked good.
Did he?
Handing the ball off.
He sure did. Boy, handed the heck out of it.
He was. Hey, remember Brock Purdy when he got in a couple games ago? He tried to hand it off to the wrong side. Josh didn't do that.
Okay.
That's all we got. I'm sorry.
Dean in Oakland wants to talk about the 49ers victory. Dean, you're on with Alan and Kyle. What's up, man?
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Hanging in there.
So just a few quick comments. Do you guys find it weird that Shanahan was like aggressive with the passing calls coming out like at the beginning of the game? It was just weird because you've never seen that with Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, like over aggressive in terms of the type of pass plays that he was running and how many passing plays he was running in the beginning of the game. And just a number to throw out, Brock Purdy has more 20 air yard touchdown.
Did you get this tweet from me?
Than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Did you get this from my tweet, Dean?
No, they pulled it up. It was during the Fox broadcast. They pulled it up.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. Thanks. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo has one touchdown pass of 20-plus air yards all year, and Brock Purdy has 2 today. Wild.
I'm not necessarily surprised, though.
I didn't notice a discernible difference in like the aggressiveness of pass versus run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seemed balanced.
Yeah, they ran it. Where are we at? Where'd my? There it is. They ran it 36 times. They threw it 21 times. 23 times. Brock threw it 21 times.
And they were so successful that
it was working.
We don't know what it would look like if it was less successful, because then it might have been a more competitive game, but it wasn't. I mean, this game was over. There were plays, Kyle, where I'm just thinking, what did you throw the towel? Right, that gift from Rocky. Throw the towel. Just be done. The Bucs just at that point, and by the third quarter, you're just going through the motions, hoping you don't get injured. They just wanted to go home, and the Niners are just trying to send them home.
Yeah,
just send them home.
I'm shocked that game went that way. I still can't wrap my brain around it.
The Saints, the Saints gave them that game. They should have lost to the Saints. The Bucs. They're not good. They're not good right now. Something's wrong.
Oh, the Bucs should have lost to the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was weird.
Again,
the Saints stunk down the stretch.
The Saints, they sold it. They said, "Here, just take it. Just take it." So I think that these teams have been loading the box, right, on the Niners, even when it was Jimmy Garoppolo, because they know that's what the Niners want to do. They want to run the football. Hey, beat us with your arm. Brock said, all right, bet. And that's just what he did. So I had a feeling Kyle Shanahan would come out the gates throwing more, just to show that, hey, we're not going to, I know he's a rookie, but we're not going to sit around and, be as vanilla and stale and as predictable as you think we're going to be. We're gonna take some shots and see what happens.
So there's a couple things with that. I think you're right, and the 510 brings up this point. It says, I think the plays were called the same. Brock recognized where the big plays were going to be, while Jimmy wouldn't even look that way. That's from Oreo Cookie, and I think there's something to that. So I think there's 2 things going on there.
Mm-hmm.
One, it might be that Brock just isn't recognizing the early throws and taking the deeper ones. It might be that's where the play is designed to go, but Garoppolo just gets rid of it quicker and decides to let the guys, his playmakers, just pick up yak.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say decides to let the guys yak after the catch, but that's not the right use of.
You could though. You could.
I mean, theoretically, you probably could. But I also think there's something to Purdy getting out of the pocket and moving around and being able to manipulate the pocket more than Garoppolo does.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows things to just open up downfield.
Right.
Because he's keeping his eyes up while moving around.
And I think a lot of people think that when you hear the word mobile or mobility, you think Lamar Jackson, you think the ability to run the football. Like I said, I think Brock has some decent wheels on him, but a quarterback being mobile also has to do with the ability to move outside the pocket and extend plays. And that's something that when somebody says, yeah, Brock is more mobile than Jimmy, well, he probably could beat him in a race, but that's not necessarily what we're saying.
Right.
What we're saying is he can move the pocket around, he can get out of the pocket. So his ability to do that with the playmakers that the Niners have bodes well for them, because defense, you're only going to be able to lock down McCaffrey or Ayuk. By the way, Ayuk, just quickly, his route running is ridiculous. That guy is a straight up technician. He has DBs completely lost sometimes, running in the wrong directions. They have no clue where he is. I think that his route running, I don't necessarily know if it's underrated, but because of this team and how everybody gets a slice of the pie, we might not focus on it as much. But his route running is incredible. And I love personally watching the montages at the end of seasons where you see like all the different routes. Stephon Diggs with some crazy routes. Renfro will run some crazy routes. Ayuk is going to be in that montage this year. He better be, because he has guys in different zip codes right now with his route running. So when you have somebody like Brock Purdy that can extend plays, you are not going to be able to lock up these playmakers for that long.
I think, and I think mobility, we always think mobile quarterback is runs for 10 yards or takes off when a play breaks down. But I think in-pocket mobility is so underrated. Like, it's what Tom Brady's been good at his whole career.
Right.
It's how a guy like Dan Marino is so good despite not being fleet of foot. Same thing with Peyton Manning.
Aaron Rodgers, too.
Aaron Rodgers, for sure. And he'll get out and he'll scramble a little bit.
Right.
But it's that being able to move in those short areas and feel pressure. And Purdy just did a really, really nice job of that today. Now, it's something I wasn't sure he was going to be able to continue where against a Bucs team that had devised some different kind of blitzes and were going to throw things at him that he wasn't ready for.
I don't want to go too far here, but if you look at the measurables, and when we talk about mobility in the pocket, but not necessarily running, I mean, he's got some Drew Brees. It's Drew Brees-like. You with me on that or no?
Sure. Yeah.
About the same height.
He's taller than Drew Brees.
Is he?
Drew Brees like 5'8".
Maybe it's because no, he's not.
I think Drew Brees is listed at 6 foot. I'm not buying the Drew Brees 6 foot.
Yeah, get some Dr. Scholl's in there.
Yeah.
Pump it up a bit. But I think that
I hesitate. I just, the comparisons have gotten so out of control for Brock Purdy this week.
I was gonna go Joe Montana, but I decided.
Well, okay, but it's Steve Young and then there's Tom Brady. They're both late picks, and now he's making his first start against. Also, real quick, Brock Purdy, the first quarterback ever to beat a Tom Brady team in his first start. Just nuts. But
beat the GOAT.
Sure did. But I'm after today. Remember last week we talked about the tiers of teams, how there's the Chiefs and the Eagles are tier 1, and then I was going to keep the Niners in tier 2 for now and kind of see if this continues through the next 5 weeks, then okay, I'll throw them into the tier 1. But I'm going to keep them firmly at the top of tier 2 right now. I don't think they can go to Philly and win right now, just because I need to see more from Brock. What we saw today was incredible. I don't want that to get lost. But if this is their ceiling, and frankly they can go beat anybody, but on the road in a playoff game that would be the NFC title game if they're that'd be a little tougher. But against anybody else, like, is there any other team you watched in the NFC today that you said, nah, Niners can't beat these guys? With Brock Purdy, who's even if he's a little bit worse, they can win.
I was tempted before going into today, and I guess people should have known that this was a trap game or could have been a trap game for the Cowboys. I just thought the Texans were so bad. trap game or not, I guess that's the point, right? They basically fell into the trap but still won. Mm-hmm. So I would have put the Cowboys. I'm tempted to put the Cowboys there, but it's still a flip of a coin. I'm not saying I don't think the Niners can beat them. I'm saying I think the Cowboys could also beat the Niners.
At Levi Stadium? Because that's where that game would be.
I would not bet on the Cowboys, no.
I wouldn't either.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it off.
If for no other reason than like we get so caught up in the quarterback situation because it's the most important position on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But this 49ers defense is the tip of the spear.
Right.
If this defense gets lit up the way it did in week 7, then I don't think it matters who's under center for them, frankly.
Right.
They're not like that just you can't give up 44 points and expect to win.
So I think bringing up the Cowboys and just these NFC teams, that's how we got to the Cowboys.
There's not. I was making fun of myself. Sorry, keep going.
Dak Prescott, when I talk about making things look easy, Dak Prescott is a QB for me who does not make things look easy. Dak, sometimes you look at him on the sidelines, and I got to tell Guru, what is going through Dak's mind right now? That's a QB that does the opposite. Even though it's Brock Purdy's first start, I feel when I'm watching Brock Purdy right now, small sample size, he feels comfortable. Dak, even when he's making plays, it just maybe it's just a look about him. He just looks like this is difficult. He does not make me feel. Dak doesn't make me feel like I could be a QB in the NFL. Brock Purdy does. Right now.
You think stop.
I'm not saying I could. I'm saying he's making it look easy.
I'm with you. And I think there's something to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he was just getting outside the pocket, looked calm, looked poised, looked under
that's
control.
Not there. I'll just go over here.
Yeah, it just looked. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It just looked easy.
Yeah.
And for the first time all year, it looked easy. Second time against Arizona on Monday Night Football, but for one of the rare times this year, it just looked easy for the Niners offense in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having that threat of a quarterback that's going to boot out and can make plays on the run, I think just opens stuff up just a little bit for their run game.
Right.
And you saw Tampa Bay bringing guys down, 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. They were daring Purdy to beat them, and he started beating them. And then you saw the run game take off because they had to peel back a little bit. If they can be that multiple on offense, if they can be, hey, yeah, you want to stack the box? We're just going to throw it here and there. Just dink and dunk. Purdy's going to find the right guy and hit the right guy. Is it always going to be perfect? No. But for the most part, you can't stack 6 in the box. Well, if you're not going to put 6 in the box, Kyle Shanahan's going to find out how to get your numbers messed up, and he's going to get more blockers than you have defenders.
Exactly.
And you're going to see Christian McCaffrey go untouched 38 yards for a touchdown.
Overused phrase, but pick your poison. When Brock Purdy, when he's able to make throws like that, that's ultimately what it is. And here's the thing, Kyle, and this is why he did look so impressive. They weren't completely open throws that he was just, the Bucs don't know what they're doing. He was fitting it in some tight windows early. That's what was the most impressive thing. That first drive, and it's so funny how people, everybody wants to see certain things. So he goes down. They do their thing on the first drive. What do I see on social media? Well, the first drive is always a gimme. Let's see what he does throughout the game. Well, he showed you. And I'm not here to say he's the next this or that. All I know is right now, he is doing exactly what the Niners need in order to get these W's and get the job done. At some point, he's going to have to face a situation where it isn't this easy. But as of right now, in terms of doing things on schedule, you can't say enough about him. Just get the ball to your playmakers. Put us in an area of that just get us over. If you can get us over 20 points, I'm taking that defense against pretty much everyone.
That's
to your point, besides the Chiefs or the Eagles right now. And that's not even to say I think they don't win the game. I'm just saying they're probably going to get more than 20 points.
Can you be something less than a disaster?
Yes.
Like that's that's the bar. And he was much better than that on Sunday. Ricky is in Dallas, Texas. Shout out to Ricky out there in Texas. Wants to talk Niners. Ricky, go ahead, man. You're on overtime.
Sir, I'm calling it right now. The biggest thing, and I'm going to say that I was a Trey Lance guy because I'm kind of over the Jimmy G experiment, but more importantly, I'm a Niner fan. So I don't care if it's Trey Lance, Jimmy G, Brock Purdy. But what I will say is I like the dude's moxie because when he throws touchdowns, he's pointing his fingers like, I do this and I believe in it. And what I do like you all have been saying, the fact that we have a quarterback where defenses now can't just stack the box against us. And if you can't stack the box, because we'll actually throw the ball. We will throw the ball, and he's accurate. He'll take the shot, but even when he's taking a shot, he's still delivering the ball accurately. Yeah, he had that one INT that was called back, but you know what he did? As a good quarterback, he came right back and let a touchdown drive, which means it didn't get him down. And that's the biggest thing because, for the most part, our offense has been hit and miss pretty much for the season. But like I was telling my wife earlier, if I can get this same consistency the next 2 to 3 weeks, along with our lights out defense, there's no team that I'm worried about come the playoff time because we have two things that travel everywhere. We run the ball and we play lights out defense.
No doubt. No doubt. Thanks, Ricky. And those are the two things that showed up last postseason, right? Mm-hmm. It was a lights out defense in their run game against Dallas. It was certainly that in Green Bay with an assist from the special teams. And then they get to the NFC title game and the wheels fell off. But I think that there's something that goes along with that. And Ricky brought up, being able to throw it in those situations as well. Teams can't just key on the run game. But what Purdy did today, and I think you alluded to this earlier, after he threw the interception that got called back,
right?
His next throw was that touchdown pass to McCaffrey. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stuff it's like, okay, the mistakes are going to happen. Every quarterback makes mistakes, whether you're a rookie or you're Tom Brady. Mistakes are going to happen. How do you bounce back from them? That's what's going to matter. And he bounced back with it, not getting timid and checking down. He just let it rip.
It's that dog.
He had one-on-one coverage. Just like, we're going.
Well, and you could see on his face, he knew he got away. He knew he got away with one because I know on the broadcast they had even said that holding call might have been ticky-tack. Yeah. He knew he got away with it, and you just could see it in his face. I cannot do that again. That's not to say he won't. Right. He didn't do it again today. That's not to say he'll never do it again. But you could see him processing what went wrong. But at the same time, I can't get timid now. I'm that guy. I'm that dude, just like Ricky said. And I'm going to keep us in the ball game and keep this thing rolling. That's exactly what he did.
I'm not sure what else you could have asked for today. I don't have any complaints. Mm-hmm. I was expecting to come in here with a list of, because I don't know if you do this, but when I'm coming in for a show, mm-hmm. I kind of think about, okay, how's this show? How do I think this show's going to go? If the game goes like this now, I'm just going over different things. And I had a plan. I was like, okay, I'm going to have a list of good and bad Purdy plays, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about that, and that's going to be how the show's going to go. I got nothing for you. Mm-hmm. If I did the bad Purdy plays, it would be the same as I thought there were going to be uncharacteristically bad quarterback mistakes. That we were going to have questions about, man, can they fix that? Can they get there? Based on, again, I said it last week, based on what we saw in our 3-quarter sample, you have to keep the Niners in that second tier.
Mm-hmm. Firmly.
Based on what we saw today, you have to move them to the top of that second tier. Mm-hmm. If Brock Purdy goes in to Seattle and beats the Seahawks at Lumen Field to clinch the division on a short week, put him in tier 1.
I feel like you'd have to. I feel like you'd have to because, again...
And I'm ready to go there. I will be ready at that point.
Well, because the reason why that makes sense is because he would have then checked more things off the list. You had his dad, the family there today, home game, dad crying, a beautiful scene. It's all set up. He beats the GOAT, made Tom Brady look like a Billy Goat, not the GOAT. He did all these things. Now let's take the show on the road and see how you do. Yep. So I would agree with you.
Yeah, big-time game next week. But a huge performance today from Brock Purdy. We got to hit the break. On the other side, we'll have our overtime overachievers. And I want to talk a little bit more about this defense. This is very, very good. And I think if the 49ers are going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be on the back of that defense. Let's talk about it on the other side. 957-9570 if you want to join the conversation. He's Alan Stiles. I'm Kyle Madsen, and this is Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
AT&T Fiber presents a straightforward moment inspired by straightforward pricing.
And now we just cube the pancetta as such.
So what's on the menu tonight?
This carbonara I found online. It's fire. You gonna love it, Mom.
I hope you hold on to this AT&T Fiber, son. It's nice.
Yeah, you should settle down now that you're a gagillionaire.
Oh, I am. I finally found the one internet I've been looking for my whole life.
So, no more one-year stands?
No, I'm done with all that. With AT&T Fiber, there's no price increase at 12 months.
What about equipment fees?
Nope.
Those were never any good for you.
Exactly. But now everything's completely straightforward.
Well, in the spirit of being straightforward, I never liked any of your old ones.
Me neither. Blah.
Y'all never told me that.
But we're being straightforward now, which feels good, yeah?
Yeah. Now let's get straightforward about that girl he's been seeing.
Straightforward is better. No equipment fees, no data caps, no price increase at 12 months. Live like a gagillionaire with AT&T Fiber. Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
With car prices at an all-time high, our donors are now getting highest receipts ever. Don't miss out for 2022. Donate at carsforkids.org and your car can be picked up tomorrow.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2022.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with deals like our Silver Unlimited plan for just $45 a month and no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A13 5G for $149, all on a reliable 5G network. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 1 month equals 30 days. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
Hey, it's the Butcher Joe Shasky, and everybody's got their go-to meal at their favorite restaurant. So it's time for another episode of The Go-To, presented by Trimark. Next up, Rome Artisan Burger. Come into the kitchen with me and watch me stuff my face in the latest episode. The burgers are delicious. Check it out at 957thegame.com. The Go-To, presented by Trimark, partnering with independent restaurateurs in Northern California for over 55 years. The Go-To for food service equipment, supplies, and design.
He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
Splish Splash. Coach, are you taking a bath?
Did you hear a little water in the background?
Yeah! He's a 9-time NBA champion.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
And he's on with Damon and Ratto every single week during the NBA season.
Wow.
It's Warriors head coach Steve Kerr on 95.7 The Game. Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet only from Xfinity.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madsen and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
All right. Half an hour left before we give way to Evan and Sterling. They'll continue this 49ers chat. 49ers 35, Bucks 7. The Bucks 7 doesn't surprise me. Not one bit.
Right.
If you told me before this game, like the over-under is 37.5. And if you told me before the game the Bucks are going to score 7 points, I think the 49ers won. I'd be like 13-7. That's kind of the game I was expecting. Like I told Jake, our technical producer, before the game, I said 13-9 was my prediction. The fact that Niners scored 35 points, and not with like a muffed punt that gave them the ball at the 5.
Yeah.
And like a weird interception where they got the ball. Like they had good starting field position, but they capitalized. And it wasn't, it was a huge, like they lost Deebo Samuel in the second quarter. And Christian McCaffrey had a good game, but not like a monster 4-touchdown game. And it looked like the Niners.
Yeah.
That's the most surprising thing. I thought it was going to look like a worse version of the 49ers we've seen. And it looked like a peak version of the 49ers we've seen from this year.
It looked like a well-oiled machine. That's
just
what it looked
wild.
Like. It really was. And I know you've been saying whether this surprised you or not, was this what you were expecting? It's easy to sit there and say, well, he only has to do this, this, and this. But then you actually see it, and then you see him do more than what you probably expected him to do. At least in my opinion, he did more than I expected him to do. Now you're thinking, I mean, if this is actually who he is, if he's really that dude, if he is him, then these Niners are going to continue to roll. Now he's limited. What'll be interesting as well is when you talk about the arm strength. I personally haven't necessarily caught the lack of arm strength, but I do think, to me, what I've gained is that he clearly doesn't have a cannon. He doesn't have a cannon, but I don't know that I've been able to tell that. And I guess if you don't have a cannon, you have a weaker arm. It's either one or the other.
Sure.
When you get, and just looking forward here, when you get to some of those cold weather games, how does that affect it? But again, he's not bombing it all over the yard.
That's okay. And that's the point. The issue with a lack of arm strength in a quarterback is when they have less arm strength than they think they have. And they're trying to fit balls into windows that they can't.
Right.
That was not the case today with Purdy. Did he float a couple throws to the outside? Yeah, but it was when the receiver was wide open and he knew, hey, this isn't going to get picked. I can get this there. The throw to Ayuk. Ayuk gets wide open behind the defense. Just got to get it there.
Right.
Doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it to the guy. And I think one of Purdy's greatest strengths might be the fact that he is very in tune with his weaknesses.
Right.
And he's taking over a team. He's had to come from the dirt, right? He
got it out the mud.
He got it out the mud. Thank you. He was a 7th round Mr. Irrelevant. Probably maybe a practice squad guy, right? They have signed Nate Sudfeld. He's going to be the backup. Jimmy Garoppolo's out the door. Well, now all of a sudden, Jimmy Garoppolo's back. Oh, and now there's a QB competition between Sudfeld and Purdy in the preseason, and Purdy outplays him. The Niners cut the guy that they guaranteed $2 million to because they didn't want to risk Brock Purdy getting scooped on waivers. And, okay, so he's going to be the 3rd string quarterback. He's going to be inactive until week 2. Oh, Trey Lance goes down. Now Brock Purdy's the backup. So he has been preparing and just leveling up. This wasn't like he was thrown into like, oh, you've been on the practice squad all year, now you're going to start. He's been ready for this, and he's been preparing for it. And it was so clear today how well prepared he's been to this point. There was not, with the exception of the interception he threw that was called back, there's not a play I can remember that was like, oh, bad decision there. And that's the whole thing. Can he make good decisions? The answer today was yes. Is it going to be perfect every week? No. He threw it 21 times, completed 16 of them, 185 yards on 21 attempts. That's really good. A couple touchdowns, no picks. The no picks is number one. The fact he was not sacked, that's number two. He's not fumbling. Like, those are the two key stats. And then if you're also going to complete 75% of your passes, it's going to be hard to beat this team.
It is. We have to see. I'm confident because of what we're saying, because you're not asking him to do that much, right? You got to see if it travels. I think it will, because we're not asking for some ridiculously electric offense, right? But we do have to see if it travels.
We said the same thing about Jordan Poole last year, remember?
We did.
He had that whole awesome second half, and he has a great first couple playoff games, and it's like, okay, well, let's see if he can do it on the road. Like, that's just always going to be a thing.
It's always going to be a thing. Going back to the arm strength thing, I think another thing is the Niners might miss on certain picks, right? But they do know what they like, and they know what they need. They know what fits, which is why, and the last time I'll say it, not the last time, but the last time on this show, which is why the Trey Lance pick was a little bit out of character for them, right? Because everybody else that they do draft, they do fit the type of mold that the Niners like. We like aggressive runners. We like, guys that can get downhill. We like quarterbacks that can get the ball out quickly. So you have a guy like Brock Purdy, you already know he doesn't have a cannon. That's not why you're drafting him. You're drafting him because if things get a little squirrely and we need you to come in and help, what can you do for us? Can you make the on-schedule plays? Can you be accurate with the football? If Brock, the Dolphins, the reason this whole thing comes up with Tua is because you have two of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. So, yeah, you kind of need to have a strong arm. And that's why this question comes up with Tua, because Tyreek Hill can fly down there. And sometimes Tua's underthrowing it. Brock Purdy probably wouldn't look great in that Miami offense, right? Maybe some of the slants and things like that. But when these guys are going deep for it, he might not look as good. But you know what? The good thing is he's not on the Dolphins. He's on the Niners, and he fits what Kyle Shanahan was essentially already doing with Jimmy Garoppolo. And all he does on top of that, obviously, we're not saying he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but right now he's playing to that level. And on top of that, he can get out of the pocket, and he can add another dimension that Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't.
Let me read you a couple stats that are going to back up what you just said.
All right.
A couple quotes. Nick Bosa on Brock Purdy. Quote, "We've got a quarterback." More Nick Bosa. "I had a lot of confidence in him, but it's the NFL and you have to perform, and he did that pretty darn good. Each time he scored, he waited on the sideline until the extra point and congratulated the lineman each time. Kids, awesome."
Wow.
Class act. Christian McCaffrey, running back. FYI, like somebody listening to this is going to be like, who?
Pretty good, too.
Decent little player, Christian McCaffrey. 119 rushing yards today. Touchdown through the air and a touchdown on the ground. That's why they got him.
Felt quiet.
Quote, "He's an impressive guy. He's fun to be around. I think to play quarterback in this league, you have to be intelligent. And for a rookie to come in and process this offense, do everything by the book, and add his flair to it, it's impressive." More McCaffrey. "I think he's always in rhythm. I think it's up to us to execute the plays." That bit from McCaffrey about he did everything by the book, that is why there's confidence and now even more optimism that this can work. Because this is Kyle Shanahan, one of the foremost offensive minds in the game right now. How many teams in the league are running some variation of the Kyle Shanahan offense?
A lot are trying.
A lot. So the fact that Purdy can come in and execute that offense is huge. And it's why this Has a rookie ever started the Super Bowl? No. Much less won one.
No.
Has a Mr. Irrelevant ever started a game at quarterback? No. Never even thrown a pass until Brock Purdy. But the reason it's becoming less and less outlandish is because how rare is it that a rookie quarterback gets dropped into a position with a number one defense
exactly
that is even more firmly number one after this week, with the slate of offensive playmakers, and not just offensive playmakers, but the style of offensive playmaker that can just take a short throw and turn it into a big gain, that can create separation downfield the way Brandon Ayuk does, that can block like George Kittle, but then also get out into a route and make a catch and get yards after. Like this is such a unique offense backed by the best defense in the league that it's like, man, I'm trying really hard because I don't want to get overexcited, but I'm trying really hard to walk myself back from this. But as we talk about this more, I'm finding fewer and fewer reasons based on what we know to say they can't do it.
No, I don't think.
They're not going to.
Right. I don't think anybody can necessarily say that they can't. And I think the hype train it's already rolling. The hype train's going to be rolling even faster and even stronger after this. 650 is chiming in. Purdy played at one of the coldest states in America and played 4 years. He's built for Philly or any road game. He wants to be great. We may have found our steal of the draft.
Brock Purdy was built for this.
Built for this. Got that dog in him.
He does.
My boy!
And he's already breaking things, right? Okay, a rookie quarterback has never done this. Brady had never lost to a rookie QB before. Now he got an L.
Okay, can we stop?
Stop what?
Tom Brady didn't lose to Brock Purdy.
Tom Brady got hit by Brock Purdy. Tom Brady got his lunch money stolen by Brock Purdy.
Okay.
And the defense.
A little bit the defense.
But mostly Brock Purdy.
That's like when a fight happens at a party you're at and you're just over off to the side. You're like, yeah, I fought.
Yeah. He said something about your mom,
too. That fight was crazy. Yeah, that fight was crazy. I was there. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was in there.
I'm telling you, man. Okay. We know, but here's the thing. We know that the Bucs are going through things, right? Mm-hmm. But they still have Godwin. They still have Evans. I mean, like I said, the Cowboys almost dropped one to the Texans. I'm not for 1 second going to take anything away from Brock. Now, if you want to do, did Brock beat Tom Brady, yay or nay? I'm going yes. And I don't know how you're going no.
It's certainly fun.
How is it no?
Because Tom Brady got waxed by the Niners defense. That's all.
You got, but putting
quarterbacks don't play quarterbacks, bro.
All right.
It's fun though.
He still got him.
In it, right? But the discourse is quarterback v quarterback. It's Tua v Herbert. Mm-hmm. It's Mahomes v Allen.
Yes, that's how it is.
Right.
And when it was Purdy v Brady, right. Who got the W?
At last, Brock Purdy did. You're right. You're right. You're right.
You know? So now, and this is what's so crazy. At the beginning of the season, who would have thought the game circled on everybody's calendar, a showdown between Brock Purdy and Geno Smith?
Not me. And if you told me before the year, hey, week 15, Thursday night, it's going to be Geno Smith v. Brock Purdy, I'd be like, wow, that sucks that game doesn't matter.
Right.
Another bad Thursday night football game.
Something has gone terribly wrong.
This is now a Thursday night football game that might be the biggest one ever.
It's definitely top three, and I don't know what the other two are.
Right, I can't name Thursday night football games off the top of my head, but is it typical that like the Niners could either clinch the division next weekend or be a game up in the division with 3 games left? Like the swing there is astronomical.
Yeah.
And we'll learn a lot more about Brock Purdy next week, but I just 888-957-9570. I don't have a good reason to tell you that the 49ers can't go win it all.
I don't want, but I think they can win it all too. I also maybe it's just me. I want to see him in a game. I don't want to see the Niners lose, but I would like to see him at some point. They're going to get punched in the mouth.
Right. Right. Okay. And so that's why I'm not saying I'm going to go bet my life savings on the Niners.
But that's not his fault that he hasn't been in that position yet.
Right.
You know?
And so we'll keep learning. But right now, again, based on the 7 quarters we have, I don't have a lot of reasons to say Brock Purdy can't do X, Y, or Z.
Don't say 7 quarters, because now that makes me want to cool off a bit, because that feels like such a small sample.
But that's what it is. That's why this is so much fun.
Right.
And that's why this season is so much fun right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because 31 out of 32 teams, check that. 5 out of 32 teams lose their starting quarterback. Their season's over.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer contending at the level that they were going to contend. 31 out of 32 teams lose their backup quarterback. Their season is definitely over. The 49ers have done that twice. They lose their starter, and then they lose their starter again. They're now on their third backup, or their third quarterback, their second backup. They're on their third quarterback, who was a rookie, who was also the last pick of the draft. And they're just like, going to go beat Tom Brady and the Bucs 35-7.
Not just
and
that.
also beat Tua and the Dolphins 33-17.
The high-flying Dolphins.
Train keeps rolling.
Keeps rolling.
It doesn't make any sense. That's why I don't want to get into what does it look like next year. Oh, but what if they play this team? Dude, this is fun as hell. Mm-hmm. They've outscored teams with Brock Purdy under center. They've outscored teams now 65-14.
And he's only going to get more comfortable.
2 playoff teams, by the way.
He's only going to get more comfortable. He's only going to get more, only going to understand the offense even more, that he's getting these first team reps and he's getting used to being the guy. So the crazy part is, even if his ceiling ain't that high, he hasn't even hit it yet. Not even close. This isn't even the best version of Brock Purdy. Now, again, that's why, he wasn't not the highest pick in the draft. He was literally the last pick in the draft.
He was the opposite of that.
And that's part of it, because as we said earlier in the show, it's about ceiling, it's about potential, not necessarily who you are now. And for the most part, Brock Purdy has been the same guy, but that still doesn't mean that he can't improve. His arm's not going to get stronger, but that still doesn't mean he's not going to improve in terms of understanding the offense. Understanding, having relationships with the skill players. Hey, Ayuk. Hey, if I give you that look, just break for it, right? Or same thing to McCaffrey. McCaffrey's going to know right where to sit for Brock to find him in those situations. We haven't even seen that yet. And so once we see that, they might unlock a whole new level. Who knows? Maybe this is who Brock is going to be. Like I said, he's not going to get better in terms of his ceiling or his potential or whatever you say, but in terms of understanding the offense, getting a relationship with the wide receivers, a relationship with the tight ends, the running backs, as that improves, this offense might hum even more. And they're going to go up to Seattle. I'm telling you right now, Geno is going down.
Wow.
They're beating Seattle.
They're going to call back?
They're going to call back.
Or right back?
They wrote him off. He didn't write back, though.
He didn't call back.
The Seahawks are wobbling.
Yeah, they're not playing great right now.
The Panthers, the Sam Darnolds, really? You can't do that. So now you have a perfect test, as someone said on the text line, a perfect test, 530 says, for Brock Purdy. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know if they smack him, but they're going to win.
Wow. That'd be an all-time impressive feat if they go to Seattle and win to clinch the division on the road on Thursday night.
And then the hype train is going to be all aboard. I'm telling you right now.
I think you bring up a great point, is we keep talking about, like, okay, when's the other shoe going to drop with Purdy? But it's like, man, he's establishing a higher and higher floor as he goes. Mm-hmm. Like, that's whatever the ceiling is, I don't know. But the fact that it looks like his floor is going to be something like, it's not Nathan Peterman.
No.
Which is not what I was anticipating, but that was on the table, right? It's like, man, he might just, we'll see. Mm-hmm. Tough defense. They're going to game plan for him. And he just lit him up. Like, sure, man. Like, cool. Everything's on the table now. I'm having a blast watching 49er football. We don't have to argue about who the starting quarterback should be. We don't have to.
Well, you can if you want. We can still do that.
No, but I don't. But there's not anything valid. It's just like, hey, this is the Brock Purdy show, and this is what it's going to be. And maybe they miss the playoffs, or maybe they win the Super Bowl. I don't know, but it's fun as hell.
Yeah.
Who's your overtime overachiever before we get out of here?
Man, it's a tough one for me because obviously I want to go Brock. I would say that I'd have to go McCaffrey. Because I don't want to, if I'm not going defense, and I know somebody on the text line also wanted to, somebody's overtime overachiever is big play Dre Greenlaw. Yep. I'm going McCaffrey because I don't want to get too used to what he's doing and take it for granted. So I'm going Christian McCaffrey.
I am going to go with Dre Greenlaw.
Okay.
Fred Warner said after the game that people need to talk about Dre Greenlaw the way they talk about Fred Warner. And I don't disagree. Because the reason a guy like Tua Tagovailoa struggled last week and why Tom Brady struggled this week is because it's Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner in that second level taking throws away that other linebackers do not take away.
Mm-hmm.
And Greenlaw today, 15 tackles. He had the interception, an unbelievable interception.
He got up.
He got up. He taped it to himself, made the catch. And then he almost had a second interception on Tampa Bay's touchdown where he nearly got a hand on it as he cut across. Like, it was just a really, really good game from Dre Greenlaw. He's been awesome all year. After that disaster of a first game in Chicago where he had a couple of flags and just he's been stellar. He should be a Pro Bowler. Should frankly be in the All-Pro conversation. Dre Greenlaw right now is playing as well as anybody on the 49ers defense. And the 49ers didn't record a sack today.
Right.
If that was the only stat you gave me, I know I've said that like 10 times about this game, but if you said, hey, the Niners didn't sack Tom Brady, it'd be like, uh-oh.
Right.
And Tom Brady's getting a little bit loose.
But Tom, he's elusive, even now.
In his own way.
In his own weird way.
How many throws did he make as he was being sacked today?
Right.
And just get it.
He's great at it. We got the text line rolling in for their overtime overachiever. 707, Turk 707 is calling it now. Purdy is this year's Kurt Warner.
Okay.
Look.
I'm not there yet.
Show me he's not. Show me he's not.
You're right. I have no reason to tell you right now that he is not that. That's fair. 650 wants to give the O-line some love. Yep, they were very, very good today as well. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of runs that the 49ers had where they just had guys untouched until the second level, which is very good for the offensive line. And then Jordan Mason finally got in the game. 11 carries, 56 yards. I think we're going to see more Jordan Mason. Maybe he doesn't look great during the week in practice, but man, he keeps showing time in and time out that when he gets in games, he's ready to go.
Somebody on the YouTube chat said mini Marshawn. They get mini Marshawn Lynch vibes from Jordan Mason. He is a hard runner.
He is. He gets after it.
And he's got on the one glove. Not really sure what that's
all
about.
You're out of the one glove.
It really bothers me. I'm not going to lie. But if he keeps running like this, I'll allow it.
Very good. We've got to hit the break. On the other side, we're going to send you to Evan Giddings and Sterling Bennett. They're going to continue breaking this down. Brock Purdy, the defense, the 49ers stay on top of the NFC West. Now a 2-game lead. They can clinch it on Thursday, and they look like bona fide contenders still. Unbelievable game at Levi Stadium. Jake, on the board, thank you so much. Alan, shout out to you. Can't wait till next week. And Thursday, actually, not even next week.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait till Thursday.
See you then.
Midweek overtime. Hopefully we're talking about a 49ers win and a division title. Crazy. The Brock Purdy show continues, but our show is over. Evan and Sterling are next.
Television sales on Black Friday set new records as millions of Americans snapped up the hot deals. But a lot of people were out of town or too busy to take advantage of the special pricing. So, how about a redo? Right now, you've got a second chance to save big on many of the top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs. Where? At Video Only, where the smart shoppers go. So, don't miss out. Check out Video Only now, or
you'll be sorry.
Hi, welcome to IKEA and our winter celebration event.
Yeah, hi. It's been a while since I've had the whole family over, so I need a table set for 12. I need decor to impress Aunt Lucille. Oh, I need gifts for the kids.
No worries. As an IKEA family member, you can save with hundreds of offers throughout the store, from home decor to table lamps and even gaming accessories.
Gaming. Wait, did you say hundreds?
Yes. This holiday season, visit us in-store or at IKEA-USA.com/winter celebrations to start saving. The IKEA Winter Celebration event begins 12/7 and ends 12/24/22, U.S. only.
This holiday season, tee it up at the Golf Mart for the hottest gifts from TaylorMade and Bushnell. Featuring the TaylorMade Stealth Carbon Woods with 60 layers of carbon for faster ball speeds. And while you're there, grab a dozen TP5 golf balls. And from Bushnell, save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders. There's also gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now at the Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Get fast, reliable speeds at home and on the go with internet and mobile from Xfinity. Now through December 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet plus X-Fi Complete with unlimited data and Wi-Fi equipment included. It's just $50 a month for 2 full years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Plus, get $200 back. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Bring the family to Outdoor Supply Hardware's free Osh Kids event, Saturday, December 10th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at every store. Kids 12 and younger are invited to create a paintbrush Santa ornament using their imagination. And of course, a paintbrush, which Osh will supply. And while you're at Osh, be sure to round up your purchase total to support Osh's 3rd annual Sense of Purpose campaign. Every dollar donated stays in the community to support local children's hospitals. So stop by any of our 14 locations or visit us online at osh.com. Osh, neighbors helping neighbors.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
Hey, Santa Clara County sports fans. The new Omicron booster is here and available for everyone 12 and older. Remember that kids can get really sick with COVID and the effects can be serious and long-term. You can't be at the top of your game when you're super fatigued. So keep your athletes safe this fall and winter with this important booster. And of course, wear a high-quality mask whenever you're inside with lots of people. Visit sccfreevax.org or call 211 to make your booster appointment. Stay healthy and stay in the game.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with Autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Here's to Prilosec OTC. Just 1 pill each morning and no heartburn all day. My holiday hero.
Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Blitz coming. Purdy lofting, going deep. Has McCaffrey. He's got it! Touchdown, San Francisco! So Brock Purdy today has a touchdown run, has a touchdown pass, and he just led a 71-yard drive, hitting McCaffrey.
Live from downtown San Francisco, this is 95.7 The Game.
We got something brewing in Santa Clara, Sterling Bennett.
My name is Evan Giddings. Jake's on the board. We got you until 8 o'clock. Double overtime here on 95.7 The Game. And the 49ers right now, Sterling, I know that we're going to get into some of the injuries, maybe some of the controversy surrounding some of those injuries. But at the end of the day, 9-4, 6 wins in a row. You hold the GOAT to 7 points, 35 thrown up by Brock Purdy, along with that San Francisco offense. The 49ers are rolling. What's going on, Sterling?
Dude, we're going to the Super Bowl, man. But honestly, last week we talked about how I didn't know what this offense can do with Brock Purdy at the helm. And if this is a story or this is what's to come, I don't think there's a drop-off. I don't think that there is really hesitation in me saying that this team can still and hopefully will next week clinch the division. And I have faith now, again, just one game, that this team may not face the severe drop-off as I thought they would if Jimmy Garoppolo was out for an elongated period of time. They might be even better with Purdy at quarterback.
They're certainly more dynamic. There is certainly more physical traits that you can see that Purdy has. There is some stuff that physically Purdy have that Jimmy Garoppolo does not. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo has the experience. We talked about this last week on Double Overtime, that you kind of had this dual victory but loss. You beat the Dolphins decisively, arguably one of the greatest wins in the regular season for Kyle Shanahan, but you lose your starting quarterback. And that's where immediately everyone, no matter what you think of Jimmy Garoppolo, there was a sense of the ceiling falling off, right? No matter whether you thought the Niners were a Super Bowl contender, that they should have been the driver's seat for the Super Bowl, that they may or may not have even been in the conversation for the Super Bowl. Whatever that ceiling was for you took a hit when Jimmy Garoppolo left, at least at the time. Now, Sterling,
it's changed.
I'm beginning to drink the Kool-Aid because of what I saw today. And Brock Purdy has, in my mind, reestablished a ceiling for this team. Now, I didn't necessarily believe with Jimmy Garoppolo they could win the Super Bowl.
Right.
But I'm a lot closer to being where I was before last week than entering this week because of what Brock Purdy did.
I sat here with you last week and said, the season's over. I don't have faith in Brock Purdy. I just don't know what he's going to be because there's always comfortability with what you know. And with Jimmy Garoppolo, many of the fans, including myself, may say that a playoff victory or a long playoff trip is in the horizon for this team if they can just stay healthy. But coming into this week, watching Brock Purdy do what he did, I think most fans would say if they weren't on board after last week, they got 1 foot on because I think Brock Purdy, and the players said this after the game, they believe that Brock Purdy isn't the 7th round Mr. Relevant. Like Aaron Banks said, he's Mr. Relevant now. Like if you didn't believe in him then, you know now that this kid can actually play in the NFL. Like he looked like a starting caliber quarterback against a top 10 defense in football that had Tom Brady playing opposite of him. Like how do you not at least have an inch or an ounce of faith in Brock Purdy to win you, whether it's a playoff game or get you somewhere, whether it's being 10-4, beating Seattle and winning the NFC West, whether it's that or a playoff game, I think some people or most people have to have faith in him now.
And that's also a big part of this. At this point in the season, beginning December, heading into January, you want to be playing your best football. And typically when you lose your starting quarterback, you're not going to be playing your best football. There has not been enough of a visible drop-off, I think for myself, it sounds like for you, for a lot of fans out there, to think that this team is any less worse than it was before. And in fact, even if they do lack some experience at the quarterback position, that Brock Purdy, from what he showed today, we'll get into it from now until 8 o'clock on 95.7 The Game. And if you saw something that you want to chime in on, want to enter the conversation, tell him what you saw from Brock Purdy today, please do. 888-957-9570, also the number for the Xfinity mobile text line. Brock Purdy offers something that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have. And it feels like with what he did, and most of it was in the first half, admittedly.
Right.
16 of 21, 185, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. He got the ball where it needed to go, when it needed to go there, and a Tampa Bay team that was ripe to be beaten. I mean, they did not play very well today. A lot of that, certainly credit to the 49ers. Tom Brady did not look good.
Looked bad.
The running game was absent. The offensive line was terrible, even though they didn't give up a sack. They're the reason for a lot of those errant throws. The defense, missing 2 starting safeties. They lose Vita Vea middle of the game. They should have been beaten badly today. And the 49ers did it with the guy making his first start of his NFL career. That doesn't happen. And that's why, as much as you can say, well, eventually the train's going to come to a stop, Brock Purdy's eventually going to get exposed, today he wasn't. And that, to me, is valuable, not just in getting your 6th straight win, but in establishing some sort of confidence from the fan base as well as the team, from what all indications are after the game, to feel like we might be able to have action with this guy.
Last week we talked about that this is the quarterback going into the final 2 months, final month of the season. If that's your biggest question mark, you're likely not going to be either in the dance towards the end of the year, or you're likely not going to be at the top of your division. And I think fans, maybe even some players on this team, I do think that question mark is more of a period now. We have a quarterback. That's what Nick Bosa said in his post-game press conference today. We have a quarterback. It wasn't he's a 7th round pick, whatever. It was, no, we have a quarterback and a guy that plays like a starting caliber quarterback. But I want to ask you this, because to me, Brock Purdy, knowing the circumstances and the context, did he play the best game from the quarterback San Francisco's seen all season long? Was this their best win of the season? Because to me, it might be. Knowing you have, again, a 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant, a guy who he could have came in this week and he could have stunk. He could have thrown 3 picks and we all would have said, yep, that makes sense. But instead, he did the exact opposite. He played like a first rounder today. Like, Brock Purdy did not look like a backup quarterback. He looked like a starter. And whether that's on Kyle Shanahan getting him prepared or the team around him, like, Brock Purdy, he's got some cojones. Like, that takes guts to go out there and look at Tom Brady in the eye and say, I'm not scared of you. Now, they didn't play offense and defense against each other, but he looked Tom Brady in the eye and said, I'm going to stand here man-to-man, and I'm going to take it to you every play. Make sure that you're down at halftime by 28 points so you cannot come back in this game.
Yeah, and look, Brock Purdy, I don't know if I go as far as to say this was the best game from a San Francisco 49ers quarterback. You can make that argument simply because he didn't really get to play in the second half.
Right.
But that's a credit to how good the first half was. To me, that is absolutely the best half that a quarterback has played for the Niners this season. 150 thereabout quarterback rating, 14 of 18 in the first half, 185, all 3 touchdowns that he scored, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground in that first half. By the way, 5 of 5 on throws down the field, air yards, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. It wasn't just the fact that he had the pocket presence, that there was an awareness, an innate escapability that we haven't seen, and a comp thrown out by the Xfinity Mobile text line, which I saw on social media as well, Sterling, Jeff Garcia. There were sort of moves that he made in the pocket that Jimmy Garoppolo just physically cannot make, and that even Trey Lance, a much better athlete, didn't at the beginning of this season appear to be able to have the wherewithal to make. Those are plays which you can't teach, and it seems like you can only learn by playing. And that's, to me, where Brock Purdy's college experience showed today. Being able to identify multiple things at the same time, digesting information on the fly, and even before the play, and knowing where the football had to go, having the physical ability to get it there, but also having the composure to, even when you face pressure from a Tampa Bay defense that was trying to get after him early, to stand in the pocket and make sure that with the help of a great running game today, with Deebo Samuel until the second quarter, Christian McCaffrey was fantastic, Jordan Mason tacked on in the second half, everything clicked for that offense, and Brock Purdy, even more so than managed the game, took the reins today and made sure that a Tom Brady team that came back from down 2 scores in under 5 minutes the week before was going to have no chance of that here today at Levi's Stadium.
they asked Purdy after the game, and they said, was there any fear in you that Tom Brady's might come back, or that you're playing Tom Brady, the king of the comeback? How do you feel about that? And he said, it didn't matter what the score was going to be. I knew who I was playing against, that he can come back at any moment, any time. And again, Purdy, he has poise. Like, he's unafraid of the moment. Like, my concern with Brock Purdy was always going to be physically. It wasn't going to be mentally. Like, the experience he has, the person he is, you can tell that this moment was never going to be too big for Brock Purdy. It was going to be, can you physically keep up with a good Tampa Bay defense? Can you play equal to or even close to what Jimmy Garoppolo was doing? Can you keep this team afloat? Like, I thought that this game was going to be, 16-10 defensive-led win. But in fact, it was the opposite. Defense was great, but I could argue Brock Purdy was as big of a reason as they won today as the defense as well. And I don't think many times this year, while Garoppolo was good for a large portion of the year, I don't think you could say that he was the reason they won many of their games. He was good, kept them in games, but that was one of the biggest hits on him. He's not going to win you a game, not going to lose you a game. Brock Purdy, in the first half, won you this game. And that's huge for a team that needs or didn't know who he was going to be this week. For a fan base who said, who are you? Are you going to be a 7th-round pick, backup quarterback? Or are you going to be able to ascend or take us to the top of the NFC? And I do think now that fans are thinking that we have a chance here. Like, there is reestablished hope and faith that Brock Purdy, what he showed in just, 7 quarters of play thus far this year, like, there's something to him that might be special.
And hope, faith, whatever synonym you want to use, is the sibling of winning. Like, when you win, you get hope. You have faith. Yep. And that is what Brock Purdy has done through his first 2 games in the NFL, 1 official start. He has won. And that is why people have hope in him, because he's played well. He has done what Kyle Shanahan evidently has asked of him. And I do want to give credit to Shanahan, because I thought offensively he called a great game today.
They didn't miss a beat.
Not at all. From the jump.
Yeah.
I mean,
first drive.
And if we're talking about Kyle Shanahan, maybe or maybe not being able to capitalize on red zone opportunities, turning 7-point chances into 3 points, like, you got 5 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
I mean, every time they had a chance to score, they did. And Brock Purdy, especially in the first half, was the catalyst of that.
They have scored all season 3 times in their first drive. The last time was week 5 against the Panthers. They put up points quick in this game and scored on their first drive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They put Tom Brady against the wall. And I could even argue the Buccaneers already came in defeated, knowing that, hey, number 1 defense in football. Yes, we have Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, but there was this aura around this game where it didn't matter if it was raining or it was sunny outside, that this game was going to lean heavy San Francisco. Even when Nick Bosa wasn't playing or wasn't going to play or questionable for this game, the line didn't move. It was still 3.5, 3 points. Like, Vegas had faith. We had faith. I think the Bucs knew coming into this game that this was going to be a hard-fought loss for them, but they kind of laid over it and died. Like, there was no fight in them today. And that's due to the defense playing great, hitting them often and early, and also Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy shocked not just fans, but I think Brock Purdy shocked this defense.
Well, and that's also a part of the 49ers and has unfortunately been kind of a symptom of their play, is I haven't at all times this year seen them step on an opponent's throat when they've made a mistake. First drive of the game, first play of the game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers send pressure, and
rocked.
Keanu Neal goes
rocked.
helmet to helmet with Brock Purdy, tries to decapitate him, understandably gets to 15 yards. Right. And Brock Purdy gets up and marches right down the field, 57 more yards, and it's a score.
Didn't even phase him.
And I almost forgot about it until later in the game when it was brought up on the telecast that the first this game began with Brock Purdy getting rocked.
Yeah.
And it didn't phase him at all.
But that goes back to his toughness, not physically, but physically and mentally. Like, that could have been kind of a wake-up call for anybody of like, welcome to the NFL, kid. And he had that moment and said, okay, brushed it off and said, I'm going to go score a touchdown. And it's that stuff that, while, like, that's something you see from the veteran quarterback. That's something you see from Jimmy Garoppolo. And that was the question of, can this offense, keep afloat? I mean, you talked about how come playoff time, you have to swim, right? You can't just float all the way down to Philadelphia in the playoffs. But right now, this offense, to me, has more than enough to swim. Like, they're not floaters. There's no pool noodles. Like, they're out there swimming, breaststrokes in the ocean right now, feeling pretty damn good about themselves.
And I also want to make sure throughout this double overtime show, we're going up until 8 o'clock. Evie getting Sterling Bennett, 95.7 The Game. Want to hear from you, 888-957-9570. Also the number for the Xfinity mobile text line. I want this post-game show to be a place where we can appreciate what we've seen with Brock Purdy without hopefully denigrating the two quarterbacks that he has followed. Because I know a lot of people have been theorizing that maybe you had the best one at the bottom. And that, I don't believe, is what was seen earlier this year. And to me is what makes, in a way, Purdy's performance so special is there's a reason why people feel hopeful and feel energetic and feel like this game was special, like they witnessed something. Because it doesn't happen.
Right. Brock
Purdy doesn't happen. Mr. Irrelevant doesn't. There's a reason. It's a joke, but there's a reason why he's called Mr. Irrelevant.
Do you think him beating, or quote unquote, him beating Tom Brady today makes that win even more special? Like, it's like Tom Brady's 6th round pick wasn't supposed to be the guy. Now you have Brock Purdy, who he watched Garoppolo get hurt. Now he's the guy here, and he beats Tom Brady. It's all coming together. It's full circle. Does that matter to you at all?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if you're reading into it, yes. Tom Brady's return to Santa Clara.
Right.
To me, maybe the more kind of jarring underlying storyline was the fact that a lot of people after, even before Jimmy Garoppolo had gone down, had been throwing out Tom Brady as a name that could potentially be taking over as quarterback in San Francisco next year. And now I think, even though to me that's still technically on the table,
sure,
a lot of people would tell you, kick rocks, Tom. We don't want you.
Brock Purdy looked 10 times better than Tom Brady today. Now, not all time, obviously.
His team was also 10 times better than Tom Brady
Sure,
today.
But Brock Purdy in one half looked better than Tom Brady did the entire game. He did more with 21 passes than Tom Brady did with 55. And I don't think, again, Tom's 42 years old. He's won plenty of championships, like 7 Super Bowls. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. But right now, I do think there's a portion of fans saying we might have our own Tom Brady. That's a little early to say, but I do think fans are leaning that direction.
And if Tom Brady is just another way of saying you got some magic going, then I'm with you. Like, again, that is it. They kept panning to Brock Purdy's family in the stands, and understandably so. They're enjoying.
His dad was crying.
He was tears of joy.
Yeah.
And to me, I just got the sense that it obviously comes from the place of your seeing your kid do what he loves and is succeeding and is having the time of his life, but also because I got to imagine there's a portion of him that is in disbelief. Right. Oh my God, my son, who I probably wasn't expecting to see the field this year at all, except for garbage duty, is now the starting quarterback of a franchise that is on the verge of clinching a division title next week. This is this is an incredible story, and for the 49ers who have been so unlucky with injuries.
In this game?
In this game, especially, with Deebo Samuel going down, we'll get into maybe some of the outside factors as well as what the impact will be. Fortunately, it's not as bad as we feared. But at the same time that they've been unlucky, they have also been supremely lucky with the play that they have gotten from their quarterbacks now that are on their 3rd string. Like, this is unbelievable. and it's going to sound dumb, but Sterling, you could also make a case, in small sample size of Brock Purdy,
right,
that each time a quarterback has gotten hurt, the 49ers have gotten better. Like, that has never happened before.
If you would have told any fan coming into this season, Trey Lance is going to miss the whole year and you might be better. Jimmy Garoppolo seems like 3 months, going to be out, never going to play again, and you might get better. Now, again, 1 game, 7 quarters, could mean nothing come Thursday night. But the fan base is looking for something to believe in, and Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant almost wasn't drafted, almost didn't make the team, beat out the guy that had a guaranteed contract, and was the 3rd quarterback on this roster. Like, how do fans not not buy into that. Like that may make fans think, again, like you said, magic, that this is the team of destiny, or this is the quarterback where it has to hit. Like this makes it's all lining up. It has to hit here. Whether it's like Jimmy's gone, Trey's gone for the year, Brock Purdy has to be the guy for this thing to happen. It can't be Josh Johnson. It might be. Who knows? The way this year is going, it might be Josh Johnson.
Look very nice handing the ball off at the end of the game.
One for 210 yards, no big deal. But I think fans can feel that when the bow breaks, this team continues to get better and better and better. And at some point, that bow's got to be sturdy. Why not be Purdy? I'm sorry.
No, we made it about 20 minutes without a pun. I know that. Look, he himself almost made one of the post game because so technically Brock Purdy was on the injury report. We'll get into all the rest of the guys that got hurt outside of Deebo Samuel, but Brock Purdy exited the game with an oblique injury. Appears by all means to be fine, but Nick Wagner of ESPN was talking to him after the game, and the last part of the quote about his oblique injury, in which he kind of said, "Look, took some hits. I'm going to be all right. I'll be ready to rock and roll." He'll be ready to Brock and roll.
Dude.
And that's kind of where I want to end those puns here tonight. I do want to get to a call, though, before the break. We want to get people involved here. 888-957-9570. What did you see from Brock Purdy tonight? I want to go to that guy in SF. Was kind enough to join us last week. Sterling is on with us here on 95.7 The Game, on with Evan Giddings and Sterling Bennett. That guy, what is going on? How are you doing, man? That guy, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
We got you.
We got you now.
Did you hear? I said, can you smell what the Brock is cooking? I want a Brock and roll all night.
Can't avoid the puns.
So,
no.
Hey, so I called you guys last week. I don't know if you remember. And we were crushed. My girlfriend and I, she's the big Niner fan. You remember me calling last week?
I was crying too.
Yeah, definitely. But
so was Brock's dad.
You guys take my call and being on the double overtime here. We were at the game today, and you know what it was? The general feeling going into it was like, hey, this is a $200,000 Lamborghini on auto drive, and we just need Brock to come in here and make the right turns here and there and not go down the wrong street and just keep this thing, guiding into the playoffs. So what made it really easy is 5 plays into it, scoring a touchdown. Now, being there in the crowd, it was unbelievable. It was like, what is going on here? Just like you guys were saying earlier, that Brock came in and did this. And I think that helped the kid right away. You got 7 points on the GOAT, and let's just get this thing in cruise control. You don't have to do too much. You make the right plays here and there. You get a good running play, a good block, and here we go. Next thing you know, we're up 21-0. So, and I think that's the general feeling going into it. And by the end of the game, we were all cheering for Purdy. But one of the biggest concerns, and I got for you guys, is having Deebo hurt. Not so much, his 5 or 6 touches a game, but not having him on the field is kind of like not having, Curry or Clay on the court. It takes away the focus, 2 or 3 guys on him, and puts it primarily on Ayuk and CMC going forward. So I'd like to get your guys' take on that. I appreciate everything you guys do, and keep rocking. Thank you. Keep rocking.
Appreciate
That's
that
what I was
guy.
gonna say.
Yeah, keep on brocking.
There we go.
No, I mean, that is the feeling that is coming from 49ers fans right now. Is not only is the season not over, it feels like it's just taken a slight turn, and some might say for the worse, some might say for the better. But the beauty of it all is we don't know. And right now, the Niners are in the driver's seat with Seattle losing at home to Carolina today, setting up a matchup on Thursday where the 49ers have won 6 in a row. They have 2 games up on the Seahawks in the division. Man. They have one game behind the Minnesota Vikings for the second seed of the NFC. And whereas the season last week felt like it was collapsing, now this week, to a lot of people, I bet it feels like it's just starting.
Right. It feels like this Niners team, whether it gotten better or whatever you want to say, it feels like that despite what happened last week in Garoppolo going down, many fans sitting there saying, including myself, saying, look, this may not end well. Like, this could be the end of the season. I can see you one and done in the playoffs. right now the feeling is that this team could potentially go into Philadelphia and whether win or lose, put up a fight. And I think this team, if you get them in, sorry pun, but a Brock fight, that you will be able to hopefully or have a chance to come out on top because Brock Purdy can now, from what we've seen 7 quarters, keep you in a game. And I think the concern was he'd be the reason you lose many of these games down the stretch and still can be. But right now, 7 quarters, 2 wins, and Brock Purdy's got us feeling pretty good.
He does. And we'll talk about some of the things that, maybe we'd like to see more of from Brock, as well as the things that we'd love to see more of from Brock Purdy. But what did you see today as a fan, as a listener? 888-957-9570. The 49ers beat the Buccaneers. Their 6th win in a row, dominating the GOAT at home. 35-7. It's Evan Giddings and Sterling Bennett. We're back after these commercial breaks. You're listening to 95.7 The Game's Double Overtime here on 95.7 The Game.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only, you won't find